What's up, everybody? This is Inside the Ring. We are your hosts, Mike and Ray. Ray, how are you doing today?
Yo, ma, what's up?
And coming to you with a little about Pantera, Cowboys from Hell.
Yeah.
We are a little controversial at it sometimes.
Yep.
So, what we talking about?
UFC, what is it, 115?
UFC 115.
Franklin, Liddell?
Franklin and Liddell.
Yes, sir.
Who else is on that card?
We have Pat Barry, Crow Cop, Martin Kampman, Paulo Thiago, Ben Rothwell, and Gilbert Ivels, Carlos Condit, and Roy McDonald.
All right, let me see your list real quick. This is my list?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. All right. So,
Really, that whole card is a really nice card.
It is?
It's a really good card.
The only thing I'm interested in, I mean, of course, I'm interested in the main event, Liddell and Franklin.
Right.
But I'm interested in the Crow Cop.
Crow Cop is a good fight. Pat Barry, I don't know if he's going to win this one. A lot of people have a lot of expectation for him to win this. This is the guy who came in, remember he had financial problems when he had his UFC debut and cashed his check and had problems and all that. And I don't know, it takes a lot of money to also go to these training camps where you're going to get better skills. So I don't know if this guy's got what it takes right now. I don't know if he's going to come ready to go. And Crow Cop has had some good fights over the last few Well,
let's talk about
months.
Crow Cop's last fight.
He had a 2-fight losing streak. Then he got kind of kicked out by the UFC a little bit. He left. Then he went on 4 fights after that. He had a no contest to Overeem. And then he came back, lost to Dos Santos. And then he came back again and won against Anthony Parrish. So, I mean, he's on a roll. His confidence is back. I think he's ready to go, and I think he's going to knock out Patrick Barry. Patrick Barry's he's a guy who likes to bang. He likes to get in your face. He's an aggressive guy. So I think he's going to get into some trouble with Crow Cop, and I think Crow Cop is back, and I think he's going to win this fight. Let's
start, before we get into the Liddell and Franklin, let's go a little bit with your predictions.
My predictions?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Carlos Condit and Roy McDonald. I like Carlos Condit on this one. This guy's a guy who's very aggressive. He needs to come back. He needs that name. He needs that spotlight again. And this is the time to do it. Carlos Condit on that one. Gilbert Ivol versus Ben Rothwell. This is a fight that I'm very excited to see. I've always been a Gilbert Ivol fan, but he's always one-dimensional. You keep him on his feet, he's going to give you a show. You put him on the ground, he's a turtle. He ain't going to do much. So I'm going to go Ben Rothwell on this one because he's more experienced. He's a wrestler. He's got pretty good hands too. And his last fight against Cain Velasquez, he didn't look well. He just looked like he was out of shape, and I think he'll come in better shape for this fight. Then your next one is Martin Kampman versus Paulo Thiago. This is a tough fight for me. I've always been a fan of Kampman, but I'm going to go Thiago on this one. Thiago's just more aggressive. He's just stronger. He's got more moves, and I think he's going to take this fight wherever he wants to.
Pat Barry versus Mirko Crow Cop.
I've always been big fan of the guys from Pride, and I'm going to go Crow Cop on this one. He's had a lot of fights over the last few months, and he's ready to go. His confidence up, and I think he's ready to bang. And as long as he can keep this fight standing, Patrick is in trouble.
Now, let's talk about the reason why this pay-per-view has come to fruition, which is Chuck Liddell versus Rich Franklin, which originally is supposed to be Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz.
Right.
This fight was made by the UFC's The Ultimate Fighter Series.
The Ultimate Fighter Series, yeah.
Now, Chuck Liddell was one of the coaches on Team Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Team Punishment.
Right.
For a while, we didn't know that Ortiz had a neck problem. They weren't saying anything. They let Tito go in mid-season.
Right.
And they bring in Rich Franklin.
The Liddell and Ortiz, sorry, that's interesting to me, but I've already seen that too many times, and it just wasn't enough for me to watch the show.
Now, the timing was kind of off, and it didn't look good for Tito Ortiz.
Right.
Because now all of a sudden he's having problems with his wife.
And not only that, he's the rumor is, from what I'm hearing, because I'm not really paying attention to the story, but I think he's had spinal problems.
He had spinal
So
problems.
that's the cause to his leaving the fight. I don't think it had to do with his wife. I think that's something that kind of came in later on after the show was kind of taped.
Yeah, but I think
a lot of stuff is kept under wraps in there, and they do a real good job of keeping this stuff hidden compared to what the show is showing you on TV, because these tapings are pretty old.
Yeah.
So they're doing a good job of hiding that stuff, and I think the reason why he's not fighting is his back injury. I'm not too sure because, again, I'm not following this series this year.
I know, but I'm going to put my little spin on it, and again, I'm only reaching here. I'm speculating. I'm trying to start a rumor here, but like I said, it didn't look good with the timing.
Right.
And I think Tito always knew about this injury and
Right.
never got it taken care of.
Well, he said he had the injury when he fought Forrest. He was complaining then about it.
Right. Now,
So-
all of a sudden, he wants to back out.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he had the great fruition to say, hey, I think I got to go check this. I got to go get this checked out now.
Right. And that's why I've never been a Tito Ortiz fan. It's just he's got too many issues as a fighter. I mean, he's always been a guy who's kind of come in 100%, but it's just with him, you just never know what you're gonna get. And then with his thing, with him and Dana, and him and the UFC, and him and fans, and him and how he felt about him being paid, there was just a lot of excuses and something I just really never cared to watch, and I've never really liked following his pay-per-view. So that's why one of the reasons why I'm not watching this at all. I'm not excited, and I'm kind of glad that Rich Franklin's taken over.
Do you think Tito Ortiz is afraid of Liddell?
No, I don't
Do you
think
think
he's afraid of
intimidated?
anybody. I think his mouth is bigger than his bite, and I think he's, regardless of what he feels or says, he is still down to go and fight anybody.
So why did
He
he
might
pull
know
out?
he's going to lose and might get knocked out, but he'll still come and fight.
Why
he's
did
that
he
type
pull
of
out?
guy.
I mean, he gave the
I
reason
think his
saying
injury
that he
is
doesn't
that
want to.
serious, and he's afraid that he's really going to look dumb in a ring with Chuck. Chuck is.
You mean like his last fight?
Well, his last fight wasn't that bad. I mean, he went the distance, right?
Barely.
Yeah, so, I mean, he complained from injuries there, but I don't think that's the problem. Tito is game for everything. He's just, his bite is not as big as his bark. And the only problem is I think the little rumors of Chuck Liddell getting in super shape is kind of probably pushing his fact that maybe Tito's not 100%. He probably thought Chuck was going to come in probably about 90, 80%, and he think he can hang with him. And I think with the rumors and the pictures of Chuck Liddell going around being as in best shape he's ever been is probably something that probably intimidated him.
Now, Rich Franklin has stepped up.
Yeah,
And
this is a very interesting fight. This is going to be what, a catch weight fight, because I believe Rich Franklin's lighter than Liddell.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big test for Franklin to move up in weight. But here's a guy who works out really hard. He's pretty strong, and from a lot of rumors of how he works out, he lifts a lot of weight. So I don't think this is going to be an issue for him. And he packs a lot of power in his punches too, and he moves better than Chuck Liddell. So I think this is a match that he can easily win.
Now, Liddell hasn't been involved in the ring.
He has had 2 fights in 2009, and his last one was in 2007 against Wanderlei Silva.
Okay, my point and what I'm trying to bring up is look at Rampage.
Right.
Look what happened to him. He was gassed out.
Well, everyone said that, and I kind of disagree. I think he was in better shape than he has been in a long time. But I do agree that the movie status thing and all the press conferences and all the releases and all that stuff he had to do did really take a toll on his training. I think it's going to be a lot to take. It's a big toll on your body. I mean, regardless of what shape he comes in, if he comes in the super best shape of his life, I think it's something that's going to it's going to show Saturday. I think ring rust is going to show Saturday.
On that note, have you seen the photo that's flying around the internet with him being cut up or ripped?
Not really. I'm just reading a lot of the news, and I'm hearing a lot of different things from people who are saying this stuff. And again, it's something I wasn't really excited about when it was a headline as Tito versus Liddell. It was something I kind of pushed away and said, this is a pay-per-view I would just miss, regardless if I'm a fan or not. But when Rich Franklin came in, I got excited, started following the news, started reading up about it, and that's it. I mean,
now, do you think this is Franklin's time?
Yeah.
Given
Franklin needs this. I mean, he's had 3 big fights over the last a year and a half or something like that. He had Henderson, Vitor, and who else did he have? He had Silva. So.
Right.
He's lost once out of those. He won one of those 3 fights. So I mean, he's fought big names. So I mean, this guy's ready to go. He's had more fights than Liddell's had in the last.
Now, your prediction: who's going to take it?
I'm taking Franklin.
In what round?
I don't think this is going to be a short fight. I think it's going to probably go to distance. I think it's going to go 3 rounds, and it'll probably be a knockout by the 3rd round.
Knockout by 3rd round.
And I think
so
it's going to be
not going to go
Franklin.
by decision.
No, I think Chuck Liddell is going to gas out by the 3rd round, and he's going to catch him late in the 3rd round.
I think it's going to be a TKO, and I think Franklin is just going to pound him.
I would have liked to see that. I think Franklin's got the better movement. Like I said, he's probably going to work some leg kicks, move around, take different angles, and pop some, jabs and throw some right hooks. Liddell depends on a counter punch too much, and I think Franklin moves around enough to counter that. So I think it's going to be good for him.